I would like to advise all those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne for February 19, 2025 has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of time and place of the meeting has been included in the annual notice of meetings, which was posted and filed with the city clerk and with the Jersey Journal and the Star Ledger. An additional notice of time and place was posted and filed with the city clerk and was forwarded to the Star Ledger and Bergen Record by fax and regular mail on February 14, 2025. The regular meeting of the Municipal Council is now in session. Ms. Medina, please call the roll.
Mr. Booker?
Here.
Mr. Carroll?
Here.
Mr. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Weimer is absent. Mr. La Palusa?
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item is a refunding bond ordinance of the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, providing for refunding of all and a portion of the city's general obligation, refunding bonds and school refunding bonds dated June 10, 2015, appropriating a combined amount not to exceed $22,700,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $22,700,000 combined amount of the general obligation refunding bonds and school refunding bonds of the City of Bayonne for financing the cost thereof. It was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Carroll, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer is absent. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, a refunding bond ordinance of the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the city's general obligation refunding bonds and school refunding bonds dated June 10, 2015, appropriating a combined amount not to exceed $22,700,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $22,700,000 combined amount of the general obligation refunding bonds and the school refunding bonds of the City of Bayonne for financing the cost thereof. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
02 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, adopting the redevelopment plan for the property located at 1012-1022 Avenue C, which is identified as Block 64, Lots 2 and 3, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution giving the ordinance second reading is moved by Councilmember Booker. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, adopting a redevelopment plan for the property located at 1012-1022 Avenue C, which is identified as Block 64, Lots 2 and 3, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Ms. Renee? Please state your name and your address.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much for recognizing me to speak about this redevelopment of the Uptown Synagogue at 1012 22 Avenue C. So my name is Renee Chereau O'Leary. I was a longtime professor of arts, culture, and media at Rutgers University and on the faculty of Teachers College at Columbia in New York, and I'm currently an educational consultant. I live in Manhattan, but I grew up in Bayonne. My parents, Eli and Marion Chereau, and my grandparents, Manya and Abraham Chereau, owned a hardware and houseware store that was well known in Bayonne on 50th Street and Broadway, 1017 Broadway, to be exact. The store was in business from 1923 to 1985. They were here in Bayonne 65 years. Neighbors, customers, and salesmen pervaded my childhood as a part of the operation of the store. And some of your grandparents or parents may remember the store. I attended Horace Mann School and Bayonne High School, and the synagogue in which my family found its home was Ohav Shalom, the Uptown Synagogue, which is currently planned to be demolished. I hope you will bear with me for a few minutes. I want to bear witness to this synagogue and its place in the history of Bayonne and make a suggestion about its venue. In the time of the 1950s and 60s, there were several synagogues in Bayonne and a thriving Jewish community center. The Uptown Synagogue was the elegantly built Orthodox synagogue directly across the street from the beautiful campus of St. Vincent's Church on Avenue C. The synagogue was a swirling hub of life, filled with people like my grandparents who were immigrants from the Ukraine, by the way, some from persecution, some immigrants to make a new life, some who had been in Holocaust concentration camps, but all who had a zest for life and a strong faith that was celebrated in beautiful cantorial song, and also a rabbinic family, the Bendelsteins, that led it with kindness and commitment for many, many years. Ohav Shalom, the name, means love of peace in Hebrew. And for just a few minutes, I'd like you to imagine it as it was then. The original building was constructed in 1915 at a cost of $35,000, with the school to follow in 1928, according to an article that veteran Bayonne reporter Al Sullivan wrote about the plans for redevelopment in 2023. At this juncture then, the synagogue is 110 years old. But here is the picture I have in my mind's eye. There are gracious steps from the street to the entrance doors on both sides of the building with a curving fence that protects the facade. Once inside, there's another set of steps covered in carpeting for the women who sit upstairs in the sanctuary away from the men. There are pews, the men are on the bottom floor, there are pews facing the ark, the place where the Torah, the Jewish sacred book, is housed in a velvet covering with small silver crowns that are taken off when it is being read. There are stained glass windows honoring members of the congregation, including a window that I think is still there in honor of my grandparents. The rabbi and the president of the congregation sit on chairs on what is called the bima. The bima is like this. It's a raised platform higher than the pews. It's where the cantor sings and where the congregation may be called up for blessings. Everyone wears a head covering, a yarmulke for men, or a lace kerchief or a hat for women. It's festive, it's ancient, it's meant for special respect to God. Technically, the women above are supposed to sit behind a curtain that can be moved back and forth so the women and men will not be distracted by each other. But I'm happy to tell you, no one at Ohav Shalom obeyed the rule of the mechitza, the curtains. And you could look down and wave at your father, a boy you knew from school, and watch all the holy and festive events unfolding below. There was something also that the women had very close to them from above. It was symbolic and exquisite. The ceiling of the building. It was painted turquoise and gold, and on it was a depiction of all the astrological signs of the zodiac with their concomitant symbols. A bull for Taurus, a crab for Cancer, a lion for Leo, and so on. It was a beautiful array of the heavens that shone down on the synagogue goers, a watchful reminder that heaven and earth were meeting in this place. I have many stories to tell about the synagogue, and I'm writing a few of them for a long essay about Ohev Shalom and its meaning. For how, for example, some of the older women, some in the fur coats of yesteryear, used to have smelling salts so they wouldn't faint on a fast day. Or how the members of the congregation would make special contributions by raising their hands, and as if at an auction, and their names would be called out. What do you bid, Mr. Pashalinsky? I don't know if you know the name Pashalinsky, also a Bayonne, long-time name. And the Rebbitzin, the rabbi's wife, would follow him intently when he was speaking, and I am sure she gave him hand signals about what to do. And how the cantor's wife, Sylvia, would bang the rim of the balcony when her beloved husband, Theo, would sing solo. Shah, still, she would say. Be quiet, be quiet. Sylvia and Theo were both Holocaust survivors. They met after their families had both been killed. They loved each other fiercely, and they prayed with equal intensity. So why am I telling you this? As a little girl, I felt that intensity. There was magic in the shul. I don't think I knew how to express it then. The glow of the ceiling, my family, grandmother, mother, and sister above, grandfather and father below. I even had my sweet 16 party in one of the shul's common rooms for refreshment. The shul mattered to me, and it still does. It lives vividly in memory, and that's why I came from Manhattan today, where I live now, to ask you to honor this piece of rich history of Bayonne, and that beautiful and sacred place that was left to fall into ruin for over 20 years. I am not an architect, nor am I able, unfortunately, to offer you funds to restore the shul. It could be done if there were a purpose to save a building that is unique, and that may even fall under the provisions of the Bayonne Historic Preservation Commission, whose requirements I have researched. In my vision, Ohev Shalom could be a meeting center for community gatherings, or even more special in my view, it could be restored as a community theater for Bayonne, since I've also researched and been delighted by the revival of arts in the city. The balcony, the bima, the pews could be made into a wonderful site for performances, dance, music, plays, and perhaps student classes and recitals. It has infinite potential with imaginative leadership. I urge you to reconsider the beauty of this historic building, not the shell it is now, and revitalize it for a beautiful Bayonne going forward, and for historical reasons as well. Another nondescript housing project does not do the site justice, if you will forgive me for saying so. What I do think is that the property next door to the actual synagogue itself and its land could be torn down. There was nothing architecturally distinctive, and I went today to be sure that my memory was right. And I walked around and I looked everywhere and had my memory overlaid with what exists today. And there's a lot of land, and there is a building to the side of the beautiful synagogue I just described that is, it seems to me, able to be used for housing. But if it were connected in some way to the original Ohav Shalom building, that would be a memorable piece of architecture that could endure for years as a unified development of old and new. So thank you so much for listening to my reminiscences of a time that is gone and a place, but not forgotten. I hope I've been able to transmit a bit of the sense of potential to you. There is a historic church on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where I live, near my apartment, that was built in the 1890s, that was going to be sold and torn down, exactly like this plan, in a way, that was going to tear down an incredible architectural, beautiful church that had fallen into disrepair. Actors like Matt Damon, Mark Ruffalo, and others in the neighborhood, and a dedicated band of volunteers, artists, and community members are bringing it back to life in the most wonderful way. I could see a future for this, like this, for Ohav Shalom, if the Bayonne artistic community can envision the creative possibilities for the next generation and the next century. Last sentence. If this is too ambitious, then I hope there will be ways to be discussed to honor this site with a plaque of some sort, which would either incorporate some of the physical elements of the synagogue or describe its significance in an important period of time. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. So just to answer some of your comments, Mrs. Charo, normally this would go to the planning board first. And if you wanted a historical status, it would start there, and then they would pass their recommendation on to us. And we listen to them, even though we have the final say here at the city council. There's also the fact that this has been purchased already. It's been talked about. The planning board has already pretty much heard this plan already for the whole property. And a lack of parking might be an issue up on Avenue C as well. And I know we talked before, and I told you I live a couple blocks away. We may be able to do something with a historical status for it, maybe with a sign or something of that nature. I can discuss that with my colleagues and see what we could come up with. Maybe we could do a byline on the street sign or something of that nature. So I'll look into that. I can't promise you something. That's something we'll have to discuss. But I know that the council and the mayor are usually, we like preserving our history in Bayonne, even though we know we have to welcome change sometimes. I think that we usually would like to incorporate our history. Both myself, the council colleagues, my friend here, Jay, we know each other for years, and we're always reminiscing about different things. I remember the store that your parents had. I think I told you the story. As a little kid, I didn't even have enough money to buy a picture for my mother for Mother's Day, and I think it was your mother that probably said, "Oh, that's okay." And even the synagogue, I worked next door to the synagogue in the pharmacy that was there for years for Meyer Israel. And they used to come and get him and bring him into the shul when they needed a minyan, I think, like you said. So we will definitely look into this. I will not let this go without scrutinizing it and see if we can at least get some sort of memorialization, a plaque or something, or even the street sign for that. Yes, Mr. Booker?
Yes, real quick. I just want to say thank you. I have to stop saying real quick. Thank you for that trip down memory lane. I agree with the council president. We definitely want to preserve our history in Bayonne. As you were speaking, I sat here and I thought there's some way that we can honor the memory of the temple, and you came up with the last idea of a plaque or something. So I'm in favor of, without a doubt, to do my best to help that we can do a plaque or something to keep the memory of it. And as you were sitting there speaking so fondly, I can remember some of the things that you were talking about. So thank you for that story, and we'll do everything we can.
Anyone else on O2? No protesting.
Wait,
Mr. Grimes.
second.
I'm a little late to the party of this one. That building.
Just state your name and address, please, for the record.
Grimes, teamacross.org, 501c3 here in New Jersey, here in Bayonne, fighting for disability rights. That building was in our diorama.
Address, please keep.
Oh, 213 Avenue B, and that building really amazes me because I remember it from my childhood, and it's in our diorama that we used to get the light, to help to get the light on Avenue C there. And it always intrigued me, that building. There's a church out there called Liquid Church. I don't know if it's too late to save this building, but Liquid Church goes all over. They have 7 buildings in New Jersey, and they took over one in Princeton that was a failing church. You might want to reach out to Liquid Church to see if they want to take over that building, because they could do a lot with that building and offer all the things that you're having, like a party space and all that. They have all that. They do all those kinds of things. It would be a great option. I love that building, and I don't want to see it turned down.
We're just at, it's kind of late in the process.
It is, yeah, I'm late to the party. Okay.
That's the issue, only because somebody else owns it, even a plaque. We'd love to say, yeah, we're gonna put a plaque, but somebody owns that property, and I don't know if the plaque would go, but we have the city street, so that might be the option to go with something that we can control. So,
May I say
So,
something?
yeah.
I don't know if there's any opportunity for reconsideration with the I know it is now purchased, but, I know it's purchased.
The issue here about it being late is that there's been thousands of dollars spent on reports and engineering and blueprints and things like that. So I can't answer for those people who have spent that money, and the synagogue that was there for many years negotiated that with somebody. So that's the reason why I would say it's a little late in the process. Mr. Skillen, do you want to add something?
Sure, so, I think we can ask, kind of similar other redevelopment plans and buildings, so like, done for, Woodmont, there's a plaque for the high hat.
Right.
I
In
think
the lobby or something?
we can put that in the planning report,
Yeah.
when it comes in for site plan, that there'll be a, plaque,
Okay.
For recognizing the,
Yeah, we can do that, maybe something with a picture or something of
I
that.
will make sure that that's in the, planning report when it goes up for the site plan review.
All right.
That's there.
Thank you, Mr. Skillen, that's great.
And Liquid Church is looking for a place in Hudson County. If any churches are looking to close or need help, they're looking for a spot, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move it.
On that motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final
Move
passage.
it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
I vote no. I asked at the last meeting for our director to speak with me about this and several other items on the agenda. I wasn't contacted in 30 days, so I don't think I should vote for it in good conscience. Also, Ms. O'Leary, you spoke so eloquently and delivered your comments so well. I agree entirely, and especially when you mentioned the meaning of the synagogue, love and peace. And I think maybe we've kind of systematically abandoned both principles with respect to development and how we should be looking after and making sure some of these places that are getting built include, as I've said many times, workforce housing. Some working people are in the audience here tonight, and it would be nice to have places where they can live and work in the same community at a reasonable rate. I wanted that included in this. I didn't get a chance to speak with our director. But I was touched by what you said as well. So I'm very glad you came tonight. I appreciate what you said. Going forward, though, yes, we should absolutely be making meeting places, community centers, theaters, and God help us, parking, open-air parking lots, a priority for our planning and zoning department. And I hope that eventually becomes the case.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
The ordinance passed. 03 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, vacating a portion of Avenue I, more particularly described in Exhibit A attached here too, pursuant to and accordance with NJSA 40:67-1 et sec, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, 2025, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. La Palusa, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, vacating a portion of Avenue I, more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached here to, pursuant to, and in accordance with NJSA 40:67.-1 et sec. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move. Second.
On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
04 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Property Maintenance, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president, given the ordinance second reading. Mr. Booker, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 17, Property Maintenance. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protests against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move it.
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
05 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for a final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Booker, giving the ordinance second reading. Ms. Who would like the second?
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
So move.
Second.
On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
06 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held January 22nd, was published in the Jersey Journal and was posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for a final passage following the public hearing at this meeting of February 19th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move.
On the motion to close, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
And a second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
First speaker is Mr. Grimes.
Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey fighting for disability rights, cannabis patients' rights. We're here in Bayonne, 213 Avenue B. My dad was in Vietnam. I don't talk about this much. My dad was in Vietnam. He came home from Vietnam with PTSD. He was in prison in Vietnam. Came home from Vietnam with PTSD, got spit on by people, and then tried to kill himself by shooting himself in the head, and he wound up in a wheelchair. So the reason why you see me fighting for disability rights and disabled vets, because all my boxes are checked with my dad. All those boxes have been checked off, unfortunately. So I saw what he went through and pretty much lost my dad for that period. So I fight for disabled people, and it's very tenacious, and I'm kind of a jerk sometimes, I agree, but I try to be better about it. One of the things I'm fighting for, I'm an expert on Zoom meetings. During COVID, when we had all the Zoom meetings, I've been to probably 500 meetings, council meetings, since COVID. I've been to 5 meetings in 1 week. 1 day, I'm sorry, 5 meetings in 1 day. There was one time where I had 3 meetings on my computer desk at the same time. It was like a sports bar for council meetings. It was good times. Most councils use Zoom. Most councils use Zoom. Most use Google, Microsoft, they've used that. Bayonne was the only town that used, I think it was called Tap to Talk. I think that it was some weird, it worked, but I didn't really like it, but it did work. I don't know if that was the problem. So one of the things I fight for is for disability rights for people that can't make these meetings, homebound people, people in wheelchairs, people on their deathbeds, people that are home that have cancer, sick people. From what I understand, you have a problem in this building with interference, and I see that. I worked for Bell Labs for 21 years. I retired from Bell Labs. I ran all the council, the auditoriums, all the conference planning. I troubleshooted the whole Bell Labs building. I was very good at my job. And unfortunately, I got injured and I couldn't work anymore. I would like to, for free, offer my services to this situation here. And it would probably take me a day to troubleshoot what's wrong. You might need a wire or two. You don't need microphones. You don't need cameras. You have all that stuff. That stuff doesn't break. You might need a couple of mics. You might need a landline or an Ethernet cable and a router in here. But it's stuff that can be easily fixed, not for a lot of money. Dover wants to spend 80 grand on their stuff, and I'm like, no, I'll do it for free. I'm going to offer the same thing to Dover, because these are issues that affect disabled vets. They affect a lot of people. They affect blind people. There's blind people that can't make this meeting, because it's just not easy to get here for a blind person. So if we had these meetings online like we had during COVID, it would be very helpful, and that was my one issue. My second issue is the 49th and Broadway. There was a man that tripped over the sign, stop the pedestrian sign, because it was a sign it's designed to break apart. It's made, but when you hit it, it comes in 2 pieces. So you have the rubber base on the ground and the sign floating around. There's been times where I've driven down Broadway last year, 3 times I pulled over and saw that sign broken. I went out and I fixed it. I've seen the hot dog ladies fix it a few times. I've seen pedestrians fix that sign. The sign needs to be there because it makes the intersection safer. It definitely makes it safer. It makes it safer for me, as I know, I'm there all the time. They have better signs. They have signs that are springs. It's a spring that goes on the base. It's with 6 bolts on the base. It's not coming apart easy. And that would probably solve the problem. You could probably put them on Avenue B, because you have the same issue for liability on Avenue B. You have 2 signs on Avenue B, you have them on Avenue A. So all those signs.
It's the same type of sign on 39th Street. Yeah.
Same time, they come apart, they're designed. So if you put those spring-loaded signs They will come apart if hit by a truck 20 times, but not easily. And it would solve the problem. To make that intersection safer is very important to me, because I'm hoping we get that light there sooner than later. But even a blinking light would be helpful. Or a speed bump on 49th, because people, they don't even pay attention to the stop sign. They come right down 49th and they just go right through it. That's what causes all the accidents you saw last year. People just fly through 49th. So if we can get the sign back there, or put the sign on the tree like you did on Avenue E and 39th. They put the sign on the tree.
There's no tree.
Or whatever, the pole.
We could put a pole in there.
So, yeah, whatever helps, but it makes the intersection safer, it really does.
Thank you.
guys.
Tommy, is there a different alternative sign that you have possibly?
We've had the spring signs before. They do last a little bit longer, but eventually
They
all
break too, because they get hit
Well,
all the time,
I
sure.
spoke to Mr. Grimes about possibly what we did down on Fourth and Avenue Way with the blinking sign for pedestrians. You hit the button, it lights up, it gives early warning for, halfway down the block from Broadway, so cars would see the flashing lights. And we could probably do that intersection for probably under $60,000 versus,
Is it
$300
something
something
similar
thousand
to
dollars.
like what they have with the light rail? Is that what you mean, like on Avenue
No,
E?
No, it's
35th and Avenue E?
similar to what's by Wash Hounds, across from Wendy, is that Burger King, or whoever I'm promoting right now, on East 22nd Street, as you're going down towards IMTT. There's that crosswalk there, it's the flashing light. You hit the button, it lights up, it warns the cars that someone's gonna be crossing the street, and then it gives you enough time to cross the street. You'll cross the street, and then the light will shut off. So anytime a pedestrian is gonna cross the street, it's gonna blink, you're gonna see it. We did it down on Avenue A, and it works great down there, anytime anyone's crossing down there. And it gives you an early warning sign also.
I'll take a look.
Up the
I
block.
think it's similar to the one by the light rail on 34th Street. Where has
Oh,
the-
no, the light rail one is bigger. That
It
cost
is?
us, that was $210,000.
This has yellow
10 years
blinking
ago.
lights also.
Yeah,
besides-
no, these are small. It's just like a regular pedestrian crossing, but it lights up.
Okay.
And they're very visible. I mean,
Right.
and
I'll take a look at it and we'll discuss it a
it
little.
doesn't require a lot of work, as far as, running wire and everything else.
How
So,
long of a process would that be to get?
Take us a couple months. It's just a matter of getting the material,
Okay.
It's an option we could look at. I could
Okay.
get you all the figures on that. And
I'll
like I
take a
said,
look at it and.
The one
and
downtown, I
If
think it was.
it's something we can afford next month, we'll try and get it on. Okay.
I just got it from the CFO, who's paying for that.
Did you kick him under the table? Is that it? Okay.
Cut something else, all right.
All right. Thank you. Madeline, next.
Okay. There's no other speakers.
Okay.
07 is an ordinance up for introduction. It is a bond ordinance providing for the lead service line replacement project in and by the city of Bayonne in the county of Hudson, New Jersey, appropriating $13 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $13 million bonds or notes of the city to finance the cost thereof. And the resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Who'd like the second?
Madeline, can we do this on a whole? And also, I'd like to ask Mr. Nichols to come up and just give a little overview of what this is, because I think the public will really, really like this. And I think nobody can give a more eloquent speech about this than Mr. Nichols.
Well, what this, is this working? What this program is about is we've been mandated by the state to replace all the lead lines in our system. In the distribution system, there are no lead lines, but the lines between the mains and the house, we know for sure that 2,200 of them are lead. At the house level, there's approximately 8,000 that are copper at the house, but we don't know. For about 10,000, we don't know between the curb and the main if they're lead or not. So this program we have 8 years remaining to replace all the lead lines in the city. What we're going to do is, this is the first phase of it, and we're borrowing the money. This money will be a loan from the New Jersey I-Bank Infrastructure Trust Fund. There's loan forgiveness between 50 and 80%, so we're saving money there. And plus, when we ultimately have to make payments on this, that will be done as a pass-through on the utility rates. So what the people that have lead lines, what they're getting is they're getting their line replaced, okay? And that could be, between $7,000 and $15,000, so that's being done at no cost to them. And then the people that may have copper lines at their meter, but there may be a lead line in the street. We're going to investigate all of those. We're going to do a test fit on all those lines, and if they're lead, replace them. So the system, by the end of the 8-year period, and we're hoping for a lot sooner, maybe 5 years, will be lead-free. That's the process.
Thank you. Can you just stay there for one moment? Until we're going to vote, but then I have something else I want to add. Okay.
So, on that introduction, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay, we're going out of order, and we're going to take Ad 3, which is in honor of Mr. Nichols.
So, Joe, I'm going to let Mr. Coffey speak first on his resolution, and then I'll do mine after him.
So we have a resolution about this, Joe. It says, whereas Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, has spent the better part of his adult life in the service of the city of Bayonne, and whereas in 1994, Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, after having helped engineer a surprise victory for Leonard P. Heatcheck in that year's mayoral election, began his service of the city of Bayonne when he was appointed as the city's law director. And whereas Joseph G. Nichols served as the city's law director until July 1st, 2000, when he was appointed as the city's tax assessor. And whereas Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, also served as general legal counsel to the Bayonne Municipal Utilities Authority and was appointed as the executive director of the Bayonne Local Redevelopment Authority on May 15, 2008, and served for 2 years in that position, all the while remaining the city's tax assessor, a position he retired from on June 30, 2019. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, Joe. Whereas, after leaving the public sector, Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, continued to represent the interests of Bayonne in his capacity as an attorney for the firm of McManaman, Scotland & Bauman, LLC, as special legal counsel focusing on matters attendant to our water and sewer services. And whereas there have not been many, if any, civil servants whose breadth, depth, and length of service rival that of Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire. And where it has come to the Municipal Council's attention that Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, is stepping down as special legal counsel on March 1st, 2025, and that this evening may be his final appearance before this body. And whereas this Municipal Council would be remiss if it did not take this opportunity to thank Joseph G. Nichols, a proud son of Bayonne, for his years of service, his wonderful guidance, and his much-valued friendship over the past 3 decades, and to thank his wonderful wife, Kathy, for sharing him with us during this entire time. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne, on behalf of the Davis administration and the residents of the City of Bayonne, hereby recognizes Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, for all that he has done for the City of Bayonne, confirms that the City of Bayonne is a much better place as a result of all the hard work and dedication exhibited by Joseph G. Nichols over the past 30 years or so, and thanks both Joseph G. Nichols and Kathy Nichols for being an important part of the Bayonne municipal family.
Well, Joe, don't go anywhere yet. So, Joe, we also have a municipal council citation for your 30 wonderful years of dedication and service to the city of Bayonne. And on behalf of the citizens of the city of Bayonne, commendations and praise to you. I wanted to tell a little story about how dedicated Joe is. Okay, all right.
So we also
Jay
have
wants to do the
We have
proclamation.
a proclamation from the mayor before Gary regales you with his story. is from the mayor. Whereas over the past 6 decades, Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, has served the city of Bayonne as a resident, law director, tax assessor, executive director of the Bayonne Local Redevelopment Authority, special legal counsel to the Bayonne Municipal Utilities Authority, and as special legal counsel to the city of Bayonne. And whereas on July 1st, 1994, after first cutting off his signature ponytail, Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, was appointed as law director of the city of Bayonne, thereby marking the end of his days as a rebel and the start of his days as part of the establishment against which he had railed so strongly for so many years. And whereas by July 2nd, 1994, it was quite evident that Joseph G. Nichols' commitment to and love for Bayonne was exceeded only by that of his intellectual brilliance and his work ethic, and that his appointment would be of great benefit to both him and the city of Bayonne. And whereas nobody could have predicted that Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, would spend the great majority of the next 30 years of his professional and personal life trying to make Bayonne a better place, an endeavor at which he succeeded beyond all expectations. And whereas anybody who spends more than a minute talking to Joseph G. Nichols walks away impressed by his intellect, his commitment to task, and most importantly, his undeniable decency as a human being. And whereas, however, there is nobody on the face of the earth who has ever asked Joseph G. Nichols a question about any topic under the sun and only ended up speaking to him for a minute. And whereas Joseph G. Nichols has been a genuine friend, trusted confidant, and valued advisor to every single person who has worked at City Hall these past 30 years. And whereas Joseph G. Nichols, Esquire, is retiring as of March 1st, 2025, to spend more time with his wonderful and much smarter wife, Kathy, to whom we are all grateful because of her willingness to share her husband with us and allow him to do what he loves best, serve the city of Bayonne for so long. And whereas Joseph G. Nichols needs to know that he has, in fact, made the city of Bayonne a better place, and he has earned the love, trust, and admiration of his coworkers and all the people whose lives he has touched these past 30 years. Now, therefore, I, James M. Davis, Mayor of the City of Bayonne, hereby proclaim that in recognition of everything Joseph G. Nichols has done on behalf of the City of Bayonne, and as thanks for his tireless and selfless efforts on our collective behalf, that February 20th, that's tomorrow, you get a full day, Joe, 2025 shall be known as Joseph G. Nichols Day in the City of Bayonne, which day shall be accorded all the pomp and circumstances it so richly deserves.
Congratulations, Joe. So I got to know Joe as the attorney for the MUA when I first came on a long time ago in 2006. About 2009, I believe it was, you became the LRA director, and they wanted to have a groundbreaking down the old military ocean terminal, and there was nothing down there. When I tell you it was nothing but sand dunes, that was it. So we were all wondering how we're going to get there because no car could ever make it over that sand. So lo and behold, I don't know whose Bronco that was, but a Ford Bronco pulled up and took us over, and I swear it was one of these trips like this where you were up and down hills, and I think everybody in that Bronco hit their head at least a half a dozen times on the roof. That's how steep some of these hills were. But you made it happen, and since then we've seen a lot of development down there and everything, and I give you kudos, and like Jay said, like the proclamation said, there were times where we disagreed maybe, but you were very passionate in trying to explain things, and I always appreciated that. We've had many conversations over the years, even on the phone, and always a very intelligent, well thought out view of the ideas that you had. And I want to congratulate you personally, and I'm glad that they used me as the excuse for you to come here, because I know you were like, do they really need me to come? And they were like, well, Gary insisted that you come, and you came, so I appreciate that as well. Congratulations again. So.
We got him to not talk. It's the first time in 34 years I've known him he hasn't spoken. Why?
So on the
I think
resolution.
we didn't vote on the resolution.
No, I'm getting there. Get back in your box.
Stay in your lane, will you?
So on the recognition of Joseph G. Nichols, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye. Do you want to do add 3 then also, since I gave him the citation?
Okay. And on the proclamation, you voted on add 3, so now you're doing the proclamation. Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
We are back to the meeting, and another ordinance for introduction. It is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, adopting the redevelopment plan for the property located at 28-34 East 22nd Street, which is identified as Block 212, lots 30, 31, and 32, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. And a resolution moved by the council president fixing Wednesday, March 19th, at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
I vote aye, but Director Skillender, I'd like to try again. Before next month, I'd like to talk to you. I have some concerns about the side yard setbacks. Between now and then.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
09 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, adopting the redevelopment plan for 15 Agnes Street, which is identified as Block 232, Lot 10, as shown on the official tax map of the City of Bayonne pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. And a resolution moved by the council president fixing Wednesday, March 19th, at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
I think I went one too many. 010 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, and a resolution moved by Councilmember Booker fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for public hearing and final passage. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
011 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving the financial agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and 111 Avenue F Partners Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 107-111 Avenue F, which is identified as Block 456, Lot 7, 8.01, 8.02, 8.03, 9, and 10, as shown on the official tax map of the city. And resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Who would like the second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye, but Director, would you come up and give some context for 11, 12, 13, 14?
So, 011, for 111 Avenue F, this is the corner of East 22nd Street and Avenue F. This is the old abandoned properties that had damage from Hurricane Sandy. So the buildings are now down. There was a redevelopment plan approved on that, for this project specifically on this because of the new floodplain regulations. The first floor is 30 feet to account for the parking there. So when our financial experts at NW Financial looked at these terms, they, quite frankly, thought the building's very inefficient with that regard. So when they understood that it's in the floodplain and, in order to get out of to comply with the new DEP regs, with the height requirements for the first floor, they understood the terms for it. So the terms for this pilot are, it is a 25-year pilot starting at 10% for the first 15 years, and then sliding up from there from years years 16 through 25 at 11%, and then on the sliding scale of the taxes otherwise due, years 16, 17, and 18 are 20% of taxes otherwise due, 19 is 40, 20 is through 22 is 60% otherwise due, and 23 to 25 is 80% otherwise due. For, since I'm up here for 012, that is the laundromat site on Avenue C, which we've discussed extensively. This is one of the last requirements. They went in front of the planning board. They had the redevelopment plan for this. This is, Mr. Councilman Booker, the park that you so, talk about all the time. Passionately about on that. So, again, just to kind of bring this project home for that. Again, this is another 25-year pilot that NW Financial has also reviewed for which for the development project from years 1 through 15, it's at 11%, taxes, 11% of adjusted gross revenue, and then years 16 through 25 at 12, and then on the taxes otherwise due from years 16 through 18, 20% of taxes otherwise due, 18 through 21, 40%, 22 through 24, 60, and the 25th year is 80% taxes otherwise due. Again, similar like building and pilot terms, but it's not in the floodplain. But we did get the community give back in the redevelopment agreement for the park improvement to be built to our spec at 440 Avenue C. I'm going to just skip 013 for a second on that and go to 26 North Street. So NW Financial has also reviewed this terms for this. It's similar to what the council has approved in the past. Again, we're here pursuant to the redevelopment agreement and, I'll say potential settlement agreement for the 22-story towers, bringing that height down to 14 stories to the current project. So the planning board did review that project. They did vote on it. The last thing for the 22-story towers to cease, to having legal rights on is the approval of the financial agreement. So NW Financial did review the pro forma on this one. And again, the terms that are being recommended is a 30-year pilot from, starting at 10% of AGR from years 1 through 10, from years 11 through years 20 at 11%, and years 21 through 30 at 12% AGR. Because of the pilot law, it's the greater of the two of the, gross revenue or taxes, otherwise due. On that, starting in years 11 through 15 is 20%, 16 through 20 is 40% of taxes otherwise due. Years 21 through 25, taxes otherwise due, and years 26 through 30 is 80% otherwise due. Just on this project, we are, talking with the property owner and the developer on this, along with the, the trade unions here, which are here tonight. While nothing is solidified on a PLA, we are allowing, the mayor does want to give the unions an opportunity to discuss with that. So there is a meeting scheduled next Thursday to discuss with the developer and labor leadership to see if a term could, come to some accord on this project. The city council, pursuant to the ordinance, we can't mandate a PLA on this one, only because there's no involvement of money. We don't have a RAB, to give similar to, that would trigger under the law a mandate of a PLA, but we are going to make best efforts to see that happens. And then back to 013 for a second on that. So, and I'll leave this to Council President.
I discussed this with the council for the developer, and since Mr. Hanley, our financial man, did not sign off on this, we're going to present it with the information that was given, but it's subject to change, and you understand that, right? Okay.
Just on those terms for this, this is presented as a condo product. So they are different terms in that regard. So it is a 25-year project that they requested, 10% starting from for the first 20 years, and then 11% after that from years 21 through 25. With with those last 5 years of the sliding scale.
Total of 25, or did you say 30?
Okay, and we can introduce that, but again, Mr. Maselli, you're the attorney, you understand that this has not been finalized and that it is subject to change.
Yes, Council President.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we were up to Mr. Perez on 011.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
012 is also approving the financial agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and 445-461 Avenue C Urban Renewal LLC, which is identified as Block 219, Lot 24.01, as shown on the official tax map of the city, and a resolution moved by the Council President fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
013 is approving the financial agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and Denoy Residents Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 1099-1105 Avenue C and 66-68 West 54th Street, which is identified as Block 34, lots 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, as shown on the official tax map, and a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Booker, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
014 is approving the financial agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and 26 North Avenue Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 26 North Street, which is identified as Block 297, Lot 3, as shown on the official tax map of the city. And a resolution moved by the Council President fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
I vote aye to see it next month. I'm glad the union people are here, and I hope that meeting goes well, and I'm anxious to hear the proceeds of that, especially given that this is going to be constructed downtown, and I want to make sure that something of that size, I call it a superstructure, is done correctly and done so that the people living in it, the people living around it, can sleep at night in the knowledge that it's been done correctly and it's going to stay standing. I didn't love it when it came through 10 years ago at 22-story buildings. I don't love it now at 14 stories, but one 14-story building is a heck of a lot better than 3 22-story buildings. And there's a lot of factors that surround this, but I vote aye to see what happens next month.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
This was negotiated from several 22-story buildings down to a 14-story building. Two, but nevertheless, I was not happy with 22-story buildings, whether it's my ward or not. We're all 5 minutes away from each other anyway. And I'm not crazy about a 14-story building either. I don't particularly like the buildings too large and too dense, but this was part of a negotiation. And again, 14 is better than two 22-story towers on a base. So with that, I'm interested to see how these negotiations will go, and I hope that everything works out well at the meeting. We've done a lot with the unions in the past, and we've done a lot with development as well, so we're looking for the common ground, and hopefully we can find it. And with that, I'll vote aye.
15 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 1, General Provisions, and a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez fixing Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Who'd like the second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye. You want to just wait a second, Madam?
Scout troop, how we doing up here? Good? Bad? You staying awake? All right, good.
Pretty interesting so far. So we have Troop 19 in the audience today. So if you guys want to just say hello, this way the people watching can see you. Ms. Medina?
Alrighty, okay. So communications is a resolution moved by the council as a whole, and it covers the communications to be received and filed. It covers C1 through C14. Any questions on the communications? Okay, on the communications, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Officers' reports is a resolution moved by the council as a whole, ordering the following officers' reports to be received and filed, and if any resolutions incorporated within be adopted. It covers OR 1 through OR 2. Any questions on the officers' reports? And on the officers' reports, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Consent resolutions is a resolution, again, moved by the council as a whole, or ordering the following resolutions to be adopted. It covers CR 1 through CR 33. With the council does have a question on CR 4, so I'm going to remove that. Any questions on the remaining consent resolutions?
What was the one you're going to remove?
CR 4.
Okay, yes.
Which one, Mr. Resigno?
CR 31.
Okay. Any other questions? So on the remainder of the consent resolutions, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
CR 4 is authorizing the UEZ coordinator to submit an application to the Bayonne Urban Enterprise Zone fiscal year calendar,
We just
fiscal
have
year.
A question, if you could come up, Ms.
Let me finish the
Farber.
title. 25, administrative budget for the amount not to exceed $181,341.
We were going over the paperwork, and we noticed the dates were past dated to July. If you could just explain, I know it's a fiscal year, but.
Yeah, that's because the state Department of Treasury just recently released our funds. So usually between the months of October and December, we get the allocation letter for 2025.
And it's for the previous year?
Yeah,
Because
so-
usually we don't usually do that, but.
No, it's always been that way, so
Oh,
it's
for the UEZ, but
for the
not for
UBC,
others.
yeah. So we follow the FY year, FY calendar, not the calendar, the regular calendar.
So just as a question, how were the things paid for from the past?
I
Like,
keep a login, and then whatever I discuss with the CFO about my pay and whoever I'm going to bring on board will
I mean, the
reflect
expenses of
that.
like the festivals and certain things.
That
like
doesn't reflect that, no. The
Okay.
admin is only for my.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
The salary, okay.
Yeah, my salary.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you.
So we'll keep it as moved as a whole. And on CR 4, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
CR 31 is designating the Bergen Record and the Trenton Times as the official newspapers of the city of Bayonne.
Mike?
Mike Pacifico, on this designation, now the Star Ledger is also still the.
So the Star Ledger is now just online?
Right.
And I believe that ends, Ms. Medina, March 1st,
March
if I'm not
1st.
mistaken. So the state has allowed the online service of the Star Ledger to be the record up until March 1st. After March 1st, these two newspapers, because the Jersey Journal and the Star Ledger no longer exist as papers, it'll be the Bergen Record and Trenton Times and that's where you'll see notices.
And it won't be online, you won't put the notice.
I'll still continue to put it
Yeah,
online as well.
it's being discussed, I believe, in the state, so.
Okay, and so the Bergen Record and the Trenton Times is still in print?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
still in paper?
Yes.
I'm one of them old guys, you know, who's like the.
Me too.
Okay, so it will be at the Star Ledger online?
Online, yes.
Only for up until March 1st, so
March
that's
1st.
coming, that's only a couple of weeks, though.
So,
Unless it's extended, we don't know that yet.
I see, so,
Yeah.
in other words, I guess, if there's no newspapers anymore, will the sunshine law still be in effect or not?
Still will always be in effect.
Yeah. Oh,
So sunshine laws they're going to have to be updated at some point. They really have not reflected the change over the past couple of years with the newspaper situation. I think what they're working towards, what Madeline and I are seeing from the League of Municipalities is moving towards something for advertisements being on each municipality's website, or the state of New Jersey actually having their own website that where all the municipalities can post.
Or possibly both, even, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So on R31, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Getting there. R1 is a resolution moved by the council president authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Safeware in the amount of $195,161.60.78 for the emergency UPS power backup system for the Emergency Communications Center in the municipal building and 3 satellite sites throughout the city under state contract, Omni Contract 44008464. Who'd like the second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Booker?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll? Aye. Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
R2 authorizes the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with LTW in the amount of $1,425,000 for the citywide camera project Phase 2 through Omni Partners Cooperative Contract 1320-22. It's moved by Councilmember Perez. Mr. Booker, will you second? Second. On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R3 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an agreement to purchase one 2025 Sparta ER 100-foot rear mount ladder truck from Spartan Motors USA through the Sourcewell contract 113021 RVG-04 cooperative pricing plan for the amount of $1,429,868. Resolution is moved by the council president. Mr. Booker, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R4 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an agreement to purchase one 2025 Spartan Motors Star 1500 GPM fire engine from Spartan Motors USA through the Sourcewell contract 113021 RVG-04 cooperative pricing plan for a total amount of $813,103. Would like to move it.
Move it. Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R5 is approving the traffic control plan for 194-200 Avenue E, which is identified as Block 458, Lot 7.01.
I want to ask a quick question about this. I know at the last minute, the caucus, you mentioned it was temporary, and then as I drove home that night, I passed 12th Street, which has a similar closure. And is there any way to put some sort of definitive start and finish on that, on closing that whole sidewalk and block the parking and human traffic?
It's all dependent upon, the construction of it.
We take the chance of living and dying on whether or not that goes up in a timely fashion.
Well, knowing the developer, J&J Builders here, they're very reputable. They've been in operation for over 30-plus years, building throughout the state of New Jersey. They also do municipal work on with one of their other affiliated entities. with underground utilities, so my confidence with this developer building this project and not going belly up and selling it on like 90 Avenue 8 is, very slim, there. So I have good confidence. in
There's
that.
really no guarantees anybody can
Yeah.
get it, though, really, so.
Part of it could come, to supply, delays with wood, but like I said, these are very reputable developers that have built throughout the, state of New Jersey, and very efficient. So this is the last issue with resolution compliance to get this done, and
They have a good track record?
All right, I appreciate it.
Who'd like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R6 is approving the recommendation of the planning board for the property identified at Block 418, lots 3 and 4, Block 419, 3, 4, 4.01, 5, and 6 constitutes a non-condemnation area of need of redevelopment pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law and directing the planning board to prepare a redevelopment plan. Would like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
just for this property, I know that it only lists a couple in the title block in the full resolution. There are more blocking lots, but this is Constable Hook, Fry, and Teaching. So it's not just just want to kind of note that for the record here, that the title block is a small one, but the full resolution lists the, multiple blocking lots on Constable Hook for this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Skilling.
Who'd like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
And on R6, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R7 is authorizing and directing the planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation to determine if 190 West 63rd Street, which is identified as Block 2, Lot 1, constitutes a non-condemnation in the area in need of redevelopment pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law.
Move it.
Second.
And on R7, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R8 is authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and 218-220 Broadway Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 218-220 Broadway, which is identified as Block 319, Lot 26, as shown on the official tax map.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R9 is authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement by and between the City of Bayonne and Nova Group Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 474-476 Broadway, which is identified as Block 205, Lot 10.01.
So move. Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R10 is designating 211-217 Broadway LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 211-217 Broadway, which is designated as Block 305, Lot 20 on the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement for said property.
So move. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R11 is approving the temporary emergency appropriation number 2 for in calendar year 2025 budget.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R12 is granting a charitable clothing bins license to A&E Clothing Corporation to place 10 bins at various locations throughout the city.
So,
And-
our clerk, Ms. Medina, and I were speaking about the locations. I was looking at the contracts, and we asked Public Safety Director Kubert to look at the locations, which is what the council had questions on. And I believe you said they were all pretty good locations, not blocking the sidewalks, which was I think, are major concerns, yeah. And so with that, I can rely on our public safety director to know that they're in good spots. I did look at the maps that were on the contracts as well, so I was able to get a better view of that. But Mike, did you have a question?
Also, the owner of A&E Corporation is here. Would she like to speak?
A&E Corporation, I'm just curious of what it is. I know the Salvation Army and that the clothing drop boxes at Reds or, you know, some places just take them and chop them up. That's all.
No.
I'm just curious about it.
My name is Eva Jaluga. We own the company since 1996. We are collecting clothing and we are recycling, repacking, washing, and reselling. We are not 503c organization, so we're doing this for profit. The spots in Bayonne we have since 2011. Our boxes are through the city, and we have several of them. We change the places. We have agreement with property owners. And as you might see, there are a few locations in Bayonne. And lately in January, one of our drivers been stopped and told to immediately remove the bins. So we appeal to just at least, you know, to be heard. So we are not chopping the clothing. As I said, we have a warehouse. We've been in Carteret for several years. We are in Hamilton right now. We have to move because of the development of the place we used to take. And as I said, we're selling the clothing all over the world for people who wants to buy the second-hand clothing. We employ over 150 people.
How many?
Over 150 people.
Okay. And where is your location?
Right now we are located in Hamilton. We moved 2 years ago from Carteret.
From Carteret to Hamilton, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Right, and you're gonna, this is for 10 bins, right? You
Yes.
said? Okay.
So we asking for to just let us keep this. We are like rats cleaning the stuff which people don't need. We have several clothing bins by YMCA. We're trying to keep as clean as possible. We put the cameras. We have monitoring. We have monitoring all the time. We have devoted one of our employees who has truck on the side and is cleaning up. So it's really, you know, something that we do.
When we reviewed your contract, it was a little bit fuzzy because it said like 1+, and we didn't understand what that was. That was
Well,
another
on the
question.
beginning, when we signed the contract, like for example, I have original contracts from YMCA. When we signed the contract in 2011, I believe, was only 1B. And when we see there is so many clothing and people was leaving the mess, we have to add another one. But that was with agreement of the owner of the property.
Okay. But this is specific, so this is why instead of 1+, if it's 2, we need to know 2, we need to know 4, like that.
Yes, definitely, this is open, you know.
So 10 is indefinite then?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, my question is, I know it's a concern for people around town, the bins. I understand where you're coming from. But the maintenance of people just leaving stuff outside, just so it's out public, so the public can hear it, is there any type of, do you monitor the bins in case there's stuff outside where, you know, is there someone regularly coming by to take care of that?
Sometimes even every day.
Every day, you said?
Yes, there is a big problem we had by YMCA when people leave the food.
Yes.
And that's the reason so many people are coming. They thinking this is for food, and we trying to determine actually who put the food. Because on the bins it's clearly said we collecting clothing, shoes, and household items. So, and sometimes, you know, we have 4 bins, and we have a camera right now, so we can
And we've
monitor.
seen several locations where people are going through the bins.
Yes, or just taking everything, whoever, we understand there's elderly people, the opening in the bins is about that high, 4 feet. You have to open, you have to drag the bag. Sometimes somebody just gonna leave the bag by, another person gonna come, gonna add another one. So we have a special guy who lives in Bayonne and has one of the trucks who's driving and taking care of the bins in Bayonne.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else have a question?
Do you have a business card on you with your contact information?
I know Madeline has all of the information.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
And Gary, none of these bins are on city property, right?
They're not,
They're all
no,
on
they're on
private
private property, yes.
Okay.
And who'd like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R13 is authorizing the purchasing agent to execute any and all documents and take any and all actions necessary to effectuate the procurement and installation of a centrifugal chiller water cooler algae for use in the Bayonne City Hall from Train USA, Inc. for an amount of $1,150,000. Yeah.
$1,050,000?
$1,050,000.
Okay, I'll move it.
And a second?
Second.
And on that one, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R14 is awarding the contract for the emergency generators for the Avenue J and Mod B pump stations to Bayonne Electric Contractors for an amount of $999,375. Ooh, that one didn't come out. $999,375.
Move it.
Second.
And on the R14, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
So you can see that these are very large items, just like R13, but very important to the city and something needed. So in that case, I'll vote aye.
The next item does not have a number, but it will be R15, and it is, let's look it over. A resolution of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving the assignment and assumption of and the consent of the transfer of the financial agreement and the redevelopment agreement between the City of Bayonne and Bayonne Redevelopers Residential Block 780 Urban Renewal LLC.
So, Mr. Skillender, you want to give us an overview, please?
So again, this is the final step on transferring the properties from Accurate Builders to the lenders Madison Capital. Madison, as the lender to Accurate, is taking over the project and finishing it out. They have paid all obligations, so they are current with the water sewer. They paid to the tune of $1.3 million. They paid the past taxes, about the same, another $1.3 million. So even yesterday, just to make sure that they were current on everything, they had a $400,000 bill, and they paid it. So
this is the building across from Flagship, closest to the parking garage, closest to the LA Fitness.
these are the two residential Joe Borgio projects that were sold off from him, and yet the residential units being constructed across from LA Fitness, and the one further down the block on Goldsboro across from Friendship.
Thank you.
So, just on one other note, just to the scouts here, I myself am an Eagle Scout, and glad to see that scouts are here learning about our government. So.
I did not know that. Very nice. Excellent.
Who'd like to move it?
Move it.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay, a couple of add-ons. Add 1 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Bayonne and Hudson Regional Health Commission for the conducting of elevated blood level investigations for 3 years commencing March 1st, 2024 through February 27, 2027, for an amount not to exceed $17,500 or 29 inspection, whichever is less for the contract term payable at a rate of $600 per month.
Move.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Add 2 is authorizing the city's continued membership in the Regional Health Commission of Hudson County for the calendar year 2025 for a total amount assessment of $25,944, and authorizing the municipal treasurer to issue warrants quarterly in the amount of $6,486.
Second.
On add 2, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay. Before we adjourn to closed session, I have one additional, which is concerning legal notices. It is a resolution authorizing state leaders to pass legislation to authorize local governments to publish legal notices on the local government's official website.
Second.
And on that one, at 5, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay.
Jay, can we get a quick clarification on, last month we had the garage sale issue. We were going to change that ordinance. Does it now read 3 free?
No, you're going to have introduced, it had to take effect first. We're going to do an introduction that'll say 3 free, and then there was a question last month, I wasn't here at the caucus, about the fee for the clothes bins. How did you want to address that? That we have a provision in the ordinance that says that if it's a 501c3, we waive the fee. But given, if you read up on these things. Well, a 501c3 is a charitable organization, but they still, they make money to provide for the charities, and it's $100 for the fee. So there was question about that, and what we've come up, if you do research on these entities, while they are charitably based, there have been some issues, and we've had issues here in Bayonne in the past. So the question is whether you want, for next month, I'll do it, where we can make it so that it's not automatic if they're a 501c3 that it's waived, but that the city would have some discretion as to whether or not the fee would be waived. I just, at $100, given the volume that these things do, I don't think it's an onerous fee. I'm not voting though, I think
it should be $100 fee across the board.
Right, and if you read up about
that 3 free for the garage sales, I thought that was the stipulation of passing it.
No, I said we go through with it. You need the 20 days to pass, and then we're going to introduce a resolution that says no one's going to be having any yard sales right now, I would think. And then we're waiving 3 completely, right? First 3 completely, you don't have to worry about it. You get your permit, you still have to get a permit. You have to apply so that we know about it. And really, to tell you the truth, how we're going to enforce this is going to be difficult. I think it's going to be enforced by neighbors who are complaining about somebody. If somebody has 5 yard sales, and being realistic about this, having worked here and growing up in Bayonne, and if somebody has 5 yard sales over the course of 10 months and they don't come in and get a permit, we're probably never going to know about it. But the guy that has 15 or 20 or makes it a regular, we're going to know about it. And those are the ones we're looking for.
Right, and we want the public to know, we're not doing this as a money-making prospect. We've had problems with people who are doing these yard sales and garage sales, and we want to have just a little more oversight of that. And that was the reason why we were doing it. And we have had problems in the past, and we're trying to get beyond those problems. Ms. Kavanaugh, do you want to add something?
Yes, can I just say something about the concern about the bins themselves and where their locations are? We recognize that when these bins are in a parking lot, in certain stores or whatever, that we do have issues with an abundance of bags or packages around. We wind up with cats, we wind up with rats. If we have to incur the cost of baiting those areas and me sending my health inspectors out there, I would say keep the city, especially if it is a for-profit organization and not a nonprofit. It's going to be an expense on the city. Inspectors are time is money.
Hi.
Yes, hi, good evening, Virginia Petrucci. I'm a volunteer and also board member of Hunger Free UIC. Prior to that ordinance you guys were talking about was also talking about food pantries. We're a 501(c), so we're not making any money. How is this going to affect us, and why would it affect us?
Well, I think it's really not the money that's an issue for your 501c3 with respect to the food pantry. It's the actual administration of the food pantry. What we've come up against were people standing in line outside and disrupting the neighborhood and maybe doing some things they shouldn't do while they're waiting, and that's really what we had a problem with. It wasn't so much from a financial standpoint, and the municipality is in favor of having food pantries where they're needed, but there were neighborhoods that were disturbed by the people who were waiting for the pantry to open. They get there early. They weren't local, and there were issues. That's what we're going to be looking for. We need to know where these pantries are.
Well, to be frank, and sorry to interrupt you, but none of you have ever come to any of our sites.
Well, that's not true.
Well, Gary, you have.
I've been to a
okay?
site or two.
And so I welcome all of you to come this Saturday to Grace Lutheran Church and see how we are and how we operate. And the only places we really are at the tennis courts. This is the second time we're at Grace Lutheran. We used to do Lincoln School. We're not going to do that anymore.
I know you did a couple times.
And we've never been, except for once on 9th Street by the museum.
The museum, right.
So,
And I talked to Mr. Posel about this when this first popped up regarding the church, and we haven't had issues there. That's done kind of internally within the building. Our bigger problem is where there's little or no notice of the city of Bayonne, and the pantry pops. It's almost like a pop-up pantry, and then there's people lining up on the streets, and we don't know about it. And so this is everything I recall about your particular entity. You've followed the rules. You've done the things that you have to do.
You're almost already in compliance with the new ordinance, especially you mentioned the tennis court. So this is essentially designed to kind of move these things, not eliminate them, but move them to open air areas where the lined up citizens wouldn't be blocking people's driveways, sitting on their stoops, et cetera. And, largely the issues have come from smaller, heavily trafficked streets where something is in the middle of a block or there's obstructions. But again, you mentioned the tennis courts, you mentioned those parking lots. I years back, we worked out having them go to Gorman Field, again, in a park away from the housing in the area. So I wouldn't be too worried at this moment. You seem to already be in compliance.
We are. We do everything that we need to be, because Bayonne is a food desert. There's a serious food insecurity. That's why we're getting the building here, and you all know about that. So we're only helping what Bayonne really needs. So
Virginia, we're not against you doing these things. The pop-ups are a little bit of an issue only because sometimes there's only some notice the day before, whatever, on Facebook or one of the social media outlets. What we're trying to do is to stop certain entities have different things where they have lines. These people that wait on line, sometimes they throw debris in people's yards because the lines go past people's houses. They bring their dogs, and the dogs do their business on somebody's sidewalk. I could go on and on about a few different things, but I'd rather not.
but that's not us.
I understand, and we're not pointing a finger at anybody right now, But because we've gotten a lot of complaints from people in the neighborhood where the lines went past their property, this is why we have to address that. And we get tons of calls, all of us here, about all different things, and this is some of the calls that we get as well. And I think at a certain point, our inspectors and people like that, they want to put some controls on this. And that's what the city is doing. The city's not trying to gouge the people who are, doing flea markets or food giveaways or anything like that. We're just saying that if somebody has a food giveaway, they have to be careful and watch the people who are on the line and be responsible for that. And the same thing, if you have a garage sale or you have a yard sale and it's done, we don't expect to see things left on the sidewalk or things against a pole, or block the sidewalk from people even walking through. Yeah, I have situations in my ward where there's people who, they make one small little pathway through the sidewalk and people can't move. And then when it's all done, you think it's all done, they leave stuff out on the curb. I can't have that. We get the calls from people complaining, and this is the oversight we need to do. So we're not really trying to come hard. We agree, we see the need. I've been to several things down Veterans Stadium and all the Woodrow Wilson. We had things, I've gotten pallets removed for you and a couple other things we've done in the past. We're not against you, we're in favor of what you're doing. We just want everybody else to kind of watch, and if it means police in the area, police the area a little bit better,
So, since we're already in compliance, is there anything else that we can do?
No, I think,
So,
like I said,
I'll see you guys there on Saturday.
where are you gonna be Saturday?
Grace Lutheran.
Okay, I'll try and make it,
All right, see you at 8 o'clock.
okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Gary, I'd just like to add one thing, that when they do the food pantries and all that, when they're at the parks and they're in open air areas, it's easier for the city because there are pallets always left over, or some
I know,
people
I've had to
take
call
more than
you,
what they can
right,
carry, and they
couple
get
times.
half a block away and they'll leave a bag of onions because they couldn't carry it any further and stuff like that, or they didn't want them. But when it's at the park or it's in an area that we know about, the city can then go and clean it up a lot easier than finding it when we get calls the following day that, there was a pop-up place on, say, 19th or 21st Street, and then there's stuff left all over the place, and then we have to
Virginia,
go
did
and
you
clean
hear
it up.
what Mr. Cotter's, the head
So
of the Public
that's-
Works, he said in the parks are much better locations, if you can do it, because then we can kind of go with our workers and take care of the area afterwards.
Thank you, sir. We probably won't do 16th Street Park, so another group is there. We'll always do Hudson County Park. Let us know of another park that we can get to. We just want easy accessibility to those who don't have a car, just have a push cart. It's not that I'm saying anything wrong, but there's a lot of seniors and a lot of single moms are online. They just can't get around easy. So we need to get to those areas that are in serious need. So you can only see it with your own eyes, so that's it.
But if the line goes past private property, we just ask you to just take a look at it, to make sure it's left
I
in the city.
agree, but Gary, wouldn't it be right if we were actually doing that, which I tell you where we don't, wouldn't it be right that the homeowner comes to us to
They
strike
come
up a
to us, they
conversation?
don't come to you.
The homeowner
So-
calls,
so
the
then-
homeowner always calls the city and then
So then-
complains.
So then we can't be wrong for not knowing that some of the people on our
But
line
nobody's saying anybody's
are
wrong
stepping
right
out.
now.
And,
Just trying to-
again, this isn't about your particular organization. We're trying to do something as a whole
Right.
to create a situation where the community embraces these things as opposed to being opposed to them. And right now, the situation is such that the pop-ups that the council president mentioned are creating a scenario where you're losing support from the community, not you personally, but the idea of food pantries. So we want to try to find a way to create a system where the community embraces it, they're happy about it, maybe you get more volunteers, maybe you get more assistance and more help because they're prouder of it, they're happier of it. And the sad truth is, everybody's Gladys from Bewitched, looking out their window at their neighbor and calling the city. And so we think this is something that's actually going to improve organizations like yourself.
Like right up there with Herbert Hoover quote, like.
Herbert Hoover. And I want to jump in, and Council President, I'd like to jump in real quick, listen, I don't want to belabor the conversation, but the fact of the matter is, the food pantries, we're not against them by any means. But however, if there's several food pantries, no one has a monopoly on the park. So just because someone's there, if there's coordination and communication between the food pantries, then you both can set dates so you don't run into each other. And I think that's a good idea. So nobody has a monopoly on the park. It is a city park.
Thank you, Virginia.
Sorry, I'll just say one more thing. So food insecurities is a serious issue that we're facing in public health all around. So we would be more than happy in the public health department to organize and structure, steer whatever food banks do pop open and get everybody organized in the proper areas that they should be. So we'll take that on. If everybody would just steer them towards us, we'll step in and handle that. And it also falls in line with, how we do not want pop-up shops or the like, pop-up food pantries, just doling out food to the public. You do need to go through the health department for certain permits and inspections and follow the rules with that, so, okay?
Thank you.
So, with nothing else, we're going to adjourn to a closed session.
Thank you, Troop 19, for being here.
So, I need a motion to adjourn. Okay.
Second.
And on the motion to adjourn, Mr. Booker? Yes, ma'am. Motion to adjourn? Mr. Carroll? Mr. Perez? Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.